This video shows opposing views on the causes of excess deaths in the UK. Who is correct?
And why are the institutions whose job it is to notice these matters, to record these matters, to publicise and call attention to these matters, why are they all apparently asleep at the wheel? And the second burning question, which I'll come to first, is why is no one listening to those raising the alarm? The research and analysis of two of Britain's most trusted doctors provides us with alarming clarity. Only this week, Sir Gary, the director of the Centre of Evidence-Based Medicine at the University of Oxford, Professor Carl Hennigan, reviewed the causes of excess deaths and concludes that they are predominantly related to cardiovascular disease. He told the Sunday Express newspaper this cannot be explained by COVID, population growth or an ageing population. Consultant cardiologist Dr. Asim Malhotra, who is a world-leading expert in the causes of heart disease, also told TNT Radio yesterday that even though cardiovascular disease is multifactorial, the top of the list in the hierarchy of causes behind excess cardiac-related deaths has to be the experimental COVID mRNA vaccine until proven otherwise. And this is not speculative. No. I won't give way at this, but let me just finish this trial and I'll give way to the honourable gentleman. This is not speculative, but based on the highest level of data, which combines plausible biological mechanism, randomised controlled trials, high-quality observational data, pharmacovigilance data, autopsy data, and clinical data. And those who choose not to acknowledge these cold, hard facts, Mr. Gary, are either unaware of the evidence, willfully blind, or lack a conscience. I'll give way.
Now, the Substack doesn't offer any explanations for these deaths, but it has been looked at by other scientists. A large number of studies, for instance, have identified that COVID can lead to subsequent cardiovascular issues. And this is a recent paper that has looked at it. They have identified a number of post-COVID cardiovascular complications, including but not limited to myocardial injury, heart failure, arrhythmias, vascular injury and thrombosis. The British Heart Foundation has also looked at issues specific to England beyond the direct and indirect COVID deaths that have resulted in excess mortality and have published them in this report here. And I'll just take you through some of the main points. The first key contributing issue is what the report refers to as missing patients and lost opportunities to manage risk factors for cardiovascular disease. And some examples of this were 43% of heart patients who needed medical treatment for their heart condition over the previous year had put off seeking NHS help. And the primary reason for this was to avoid putting pressure on the NHS. Some also avoided seeking treatment owing to ongoing fears of catching COVID. In some cases, patients had the option taken away from them. 20% of heart patients had had an appointment for their heart condition cancelled over the previous year. And it wasn't just existing heart patients. The pandemic also led to the cancellation of existing programs designed to identify potential heart patients. The next key contributor to excess mortality, which the report identified, was that more patients were waiting longer for life-saving heart tests and treatments. This figure shows the number of patients waiting for heart procedures for over 1 year. In an ideal world, this number should always be zero. But as you can see, not only has the number never been zero, but since the pandemic, it has also skyrocketed and is continuing to increase. The final thing the BHF report identified as contributing to excess mortality was the fact that heart patients were waiting too long for an ambulance and other emergency services. This figure shows ambulance waiting times for Category 2 calls. And a Category 2 call is defined as a serious condition such as stroke or chest pain, which may require rapid assessment and or urgent transport. And their aim for these calls is to respond to 90% of them within 40 minutes, which to me sounds like a pretty pathetic aim. But as you can see, since May 2021, they haven't even met this lowly aim. The blue line represents 90 percentile for calls, and it is way over 40 minutes. So yes, there is some excess mortality in England, but it's not unexplained.